Happy New Year, everybody. It's January 2nd, 2026, and a new year means a new sermon series. And so we're in 2025. We covered Mark's Gospel from tip to tip. We're going to begin 2026 with a series called Just Ask. And the premise of the series is going to be this. We are going to welcome people in the Kansas City area and people that belong to Kindred Church to ask whatever questions about God or the Bible or about life in general that they just don't feel that they've ever gotten a good answer for. We're going to invite those questions, and then throughout the sermon series, we're going to give thoughtful biblical answers to the question you just never felt like you got a good answer to. And so on Sunday, January 4th, we're going to answer our first three questions. And so for this sermon preview, we are going to share the questions that are going to be offered up, and then start to go over how I'm going to go about answering those questions. And so I'll just say at the jump that I welcome everybody's prayers as we embark on a multi-month series where we take the best questions people have and that really matter to them and give them really good answers, answers that they deserve, answers that are available. And so I'll welcome your prayers, but in the meantime, here are the first three questions to kick off the first series of 2026. Question number one goes like this. Why is it that the first three gospel accounts have Jesus's last act before his arrest as Jesus driving out the money changers, while John has it as Jesus's first act? And John has Jesus's last act as raising Lazarus from the dead. Why isn't this even mentioned in the other three gospels? So really great question, and an appropriate one to kick off the series because it's thoughtful. It comes from a posture of, okay, I've been reading the Bible and I'm starting to really notice things. What's going on with this? Give me some clarity. And the clarity can be offered, and we will certainly do that on Sunday. I will start by telling you the three things that will help us sort of understand how to frame up this question and answer it really well. Give you an idea of how we're going to go about doing this year. To answer that question, I'm going to answer three more questions. And those three questions are, what is a gospel? So that's the first thing. You'll notice that the questioner asked, what about John's gospel where this happens, right? In order to recognize what's happening here is to realize that the New Testament begins with four gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So why are they called gospels? What does a gospel entail? And moreover, how do the four gospels of Jesus Christ work together to share the breadth and depth and fullness of Jesus's ministry as it's been recorded and documented? And so those are two questions that we got to answer in order to answer these really thoughtful thoughts. What is a gospel, and how do the four gospels work together? But then the last thing that I would add is this. What is each gospel writer's specific aim within the meta-narrative of the Bible? The idea being that from Genesis to Revelation, the Bible has a message that it's proclaiming, a consistent, clear thread of communication. And the Gospels play into that meta-narrative. And so the idea is, as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are all contributing to this overall message of the full narrative of the Bible. And so in order to answer this really thoughtful question, we're going to get into all of those things. So that's all I'm going to give you for now. This is just a preview, but really good question, and that's how I'm going to go about answering it. The second question we're going to get covered on Sunday is this. On a real practical level, I already like this question because it's someone who is looking for the just give me the good stuff. Just get straight to it. On a real practical level, this person asks, how do we grow our love for God? On a real practical level, how do we grow our love for God? And this is a really great question. And in keeping with the spirit of the question, I will answer it similarly. And given that this is a preview, it's not a really great place to offer up that answer. And so this will be one I answer directly in the sermon. But I will just say I love the mojo of this question. It's getting to the simplest of things, like let's get down to the barest of bones. What's going on? What can I do? Tell me this thing to do. And we've got things to do here. So there are multiple ways that I would recommend and invite and encourage someone to grow their love for God. And we're going to get into that on Sunday. And then finally, the third question that we're going to cover on Sunday is this. The second greatest commandment is to love our neighbor as ourselves. Do we have to like someone to be able to love them? Really deep question. Very thoughtful question. A question that I'm excited about to answer because one, C.S. Lewis has a really beautiful anecdote that will help us get down to the nitty-gritty of what this question is asking, and I believe will give a really good and faithful answer to the question. So that is all for now. We are going to be looking at what is the difference in where Jesus drives out the money changers between John and the other Gospels. We're going to look at how we grow in our love for God, and we're going to look at, does loving our neighbor mean liking our neighbor, and how do we work through all that? And so anyway, I'm very excited. These are three really great questions to kickstart the sermon series. And I will say this, the way that this usually works when you do a sermon series like this is that in asking questions and hearing them answered, it prompts more questions. And so by all means, people should continue to consider what it is they might want to ask. We can certainly invite more questions. We don't have such a full list of questions for the series that it would not welcome more. And so if you do find yourself thinking, that makes me think of this question I might want to ask, kindredchurch.com/justask. That's the website for this series, kindredchurch.com/justask. Just ask your question. It's anonymous. You don't even have to put your name. Just fire off the question and it goes straight to us, and we'll make sure that it gets answered. So anyway, that's all for now. We will cover these three questions on week 1 of our Just Ask series. In the meantime, God bless you, and I hope you have a just fantastic weekend here to begin 2026. We'll see you soon.